Alright everybody, it is 4 in the morning, and that means it's time for a little trivia. Can you tell me the distance from Earth to the moon? And the answer, according to Google, 238,857, which is pretty much the mileage on my truck right now, and well, that's great, but it also happens to be the starting mileage for what very well could be the longest road trip I've ever taken. So join me and let's see what surprises are in store.
I'm gonna do some donuts. That's short. All right.
You want to wave it on?
Third honk. Your honk, though. Hang on. Take a peek at this race car life. Got a Miata go-kart, 1.6 liters of Fury, straight ram air. A little bit under construction. Getting a Torsen limited slip swap. It's an open diff right there, 6-inch ring gear. Under the cover we have C6 Z06. And under this cover we have 300ZX in the middle of an LS 4L80E swap.
That's right, when I crashed my truck into my car, into the workbench.
No.
Look.
That's nothing paint can't fix.
I was doing a burnout in the truck, and the dumb traction control slammed my throttle body shut, so the tires stopped spinning, but I was still floored and the turbos were spooled, and then once the tires stopped, the Ford opened the throttle body and I drove straight into my garage, hit this thing, it was on jack stands, launched it off the jack stands onto the ground, and then proceeded to push it into the wall and accordion smash this car between this and my workbench.
Did it hurt the truck or just the car?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it got the truck too.
I buy new bumper supports, I had to hammer this out. Look at all this shit.
Dude, that intercooler looks pretty good. Gotta say, it's peeking back in there, but you can definitely see it.
Look, I did work to it, and it bent the whole bumper down like this. I had a soft spot for the 80s Jap car look. I just don't like the technology. It's garbage. As long as you change everything in and under the car, it's the way to go.
So show me the Saturn View steering. I haven't seen this. And the belt trans. So this guy says 1,000 all day on that trans.
It says that because the car is light.
Yeah.
Like if you put that in a 4,500-pound truck with slicks, it'll break.
How much does it weigh?
185 pounds.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible just to scoot it around the fucking garage on the floor. It's that heavy. But anyways, look at It's an electric steering column, and then this is the controller. And then I bought a device from like Slovakia or some shit that interfaces with that has a potentiometer on it, and you can just on the fly change steering assist.
You have that here?
Yeah.
Try it at 100, that should be plenty.
Oh my god, dude, are you kidding me?
And just gonna take a tour in here, see what else is here. Oh, I just changed my oil. So I'm at 241,000 miles and some change, just under 3,000 miles. I left with 5 quarts and drained out 3.5. There's probably a little more left in the filter, so about a quart per 3,000 miles, I'd say, 1.5 quarts. Not too bad. You got a couple heads. Those are the heads that are going on the 300ZX, and then these are the trick flow heads going on the LS7 C6. Some measuring equipment here to do CCing of ports and chambers and so forth. And here's the LS Life 5.3 forged, studded for the 300ZX. And the Big Beast 7-liter, I believe, also forged. I don't really know the specs on these, but it sounds like they're both pretty built. This one's a stroker, like 7.2 or something, stroker crank. And this one's also an aftermarket crank, but I think it's the stock 5.3. So hopefully we'll see these things in action one day. Do a little more good than they do sitting on the stands. Currently about 400 miles from home. This is the last cold start of the trip, I believe. $243,564. $244,339. We've reached the end of the road. I am getting ready to retire this setup. So since a few people have asked about the setup and what manifolds I use and the turbo kit details and just things about this build in general, I've decided to make a video about it. And this engine's been in here since 2009. That's when I did the swap. I took it out 6 months later and freshened it up, fixed up the gaskets and seals, and it's been in there ever since. But in order to show you guys better what's going on here, I think the most appropriate thing here is going to be to take this engine out. So I'm getting ready to do that and dig in. As a side note, I'd like to mention that this truck does not leak a drop of anything. I feel like it probably wouldn't do this retirement justice if I don't start this thing up one last time just to hear it. So I'm going to do that now. Here's the progress so far, and a look at these turbos. They actually held up really well. They spin perfect. Like no shaft play. The clearance over by the brake booster, master cylinder. So the idea is to pull this engine without pulling the transmission. I cut out this radiator support slightly, and I'm hoping I don't have to remove all the accessories. But if I do, that would shorten it up a lot. These Explorer accessories are really short on the nose of the engine, which helps in this situation because the engine's so far forward. Might have to remove that turbo, we'll see. But so far I have the bell housing bolts a little bit more wiring to remove the exhaust, which I probably should have done first, and it should be ready to pull. So look at the interior of my Ranger and what I've got going on. I got the passenger seat out so you can see a little better what's going on here. The seats I'm not real stoked on. They're out of a 4-door Dodge Neon. I put them in a while ago and got rid of the bench, but I welded custom mounts for them and they just don't tip like they should. I should have used 2-door seats instead of 4-door. So custom sub box with an 8-inch sub. There's an amp under the driver's seat, and this center console is out of an Explorer. It's actually 2 center consoles, so I cut the back off. Normally there's like some vents back here. I cut that off and trimmed it a little bit, and then actually originally the console has just this insert and then it butts up directly to that. So I took 2, a half of a front and a half of a back, and lengthened it so that I could add this for the shifter. Now I've done it a few times, and one of the early transmissions I had in here was a T5, and I made a boot coming out of here with an S10 shifter conversion. I also had a T5 with a Mustang that I cut this second cup holder out, and I never liked any of that. This is by far the superior setup because it retains one full-size cup holder. This one you can use for like cans or whatever, and then you still got the 2 pockets. So look at the shifter. It's a factory Mustang Cobra shift knob sitting on top of a T56 Magnum. I've had 2 T5s and a TKO in this truck as well. The engine's held up well, but the transmissions have definitely not. And right now I'm getting ready to take out this dash. So I've never done that before, but I'm gonna get started on it, hoping to have this thing flopped out in about 2 hours. We'll see how it goes, but I'm gonna take off this console as well just to make it easier. Probably leave the driver's side steering wheel attached and just disconnect it, leave the gauge cluster, probably take out the radio. This truck is not 4-wheel drive, but you notice it has a 4-wheel drive switch here. I've actually rewired this to be a boost control. So this is 3 boost stages. At the track it'll run a 14 on that stage, 13 on that stage, 12 on that stage. So it's like 5 psi, 11, 15. I pushed the transmission forward by moving the engine forward for 2 reasons. One, to give a little downpipe clearance between the firewall, and also to get this shifter where it is. It's probably about the best placement in my opinion. We were exactly 1 hour in. I ended up leaving the gauge cluster in, the steering wheel, and the radio. You see videos of people all the time that do this job and they end up ripping apart half the car. That is not the case here. You can see 2 bolts hold the dash in on the driver's side. A couple small screws there and there hold that trim on. There's another screw right there holding the dash in. And then on the driver's side you have that one, that one. And what I did is I disconnected the steering shaft from the firewall. You can see it there. And a couple switches, just a little bit of wiring. Pulled out this lower cover. And then on the passenger side, remove the box from the firewall. The ECU does not have to come out, but once you remove this box, there's a few screws down here that are easy to miss. There's one there, a couple over here, one in the middle of the firewall right there. And then on the passenger side itself, once you remove the airbag, the glove box, both very easy. There's one bolt down here, and then a little bit of wiring needs to be pulled. And then here it is. Here's the heater box. Underneath there is the heater core. That's what I'm about to take out. But yep, there you have it, 1 hour. Here's the culprit. 244,000 miles. That's how far this heater core made it. It's pretty good. It looks like it's leaking from the bottom. It's definitely dripping. I'm not quite sure where exactly it developed a leak, but I think based on how well it performed, I will probably put in another Motorcraft. What's that?
Give me a rundown on what the plan is to pull this thing out of here.
Dude, this thing's pretty much ready to come out. So I took, that box is gonna have to be moved, but I took the turbos off. I was gonna leave them on. It's even got a chain. All the bell housing bolts are pulled. The mount bolts are pulled. The only issue is there's that adjustable swivel socket. See that dude down there? It's wedged in the block. We're gonna have to lift it to try to get that block nut off because I put that on there and then spun it off and jammed it. But anyways, man, the whole thing's like unbolted. It's actually, you can see light between the bell housing and the engine. So the plan is to hopefully not pull any of this accessories and balancer, just hook up to it, lift it up, get that bolt out of there, and move it forward and lift it and leave the tranny in there.
Okay.
With the fluid and everything in it. And then, oh yeah, before we get too far though, here's all the, I guess you could look inside too.
Oh, what the hell? Dude, what'd you do? Holy shit.
It's ripped apart.
Why?
Heater core.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yep,
right. I forgot
heater
about
core.
that. That's right.
Guess how long that took?
Oh, probably like 3 or 4 hours.
1 hour. An hour and 15 minutes, actually.
Got the dash off. in
I've
an
seen
hour and
people
15
like
minutes?
rip the whole thing apart. They take the cluster out, they take the airbag off, the steering wheel off, the column off, the radio out. I didn't do any of that. You gotta be careful because the door won't close. Neither of them will actually, because it's not.
It's good to know.
Thinking this thing's rubbing against it. So yeah, just kind of.
Don't close the door.
Yeah, I don't want to crack the dash or anything. I haven't messed it up in this. But the other part is, there they are.
There's the bones.
They lived.
You're welcome to the boneyard.
You were right. You were right. They
You gotta
lived.
have some faith.
You had the right faith. Well, I broke a bolt pulling one of them out. I think it's this one. Classic.
Oh,
It's kind of weird though, man. Like these, it's all red. I don't know if it's just the fuel or what, but look at that exhaust. It's red. It's clean though. No oil. Spin those things. Give it your assessment.
dude, I'm impressed. How many miles do you have on these?
20,000, 25.
On the turbones?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, there's nothing there. That's impressive.
It's nice, isn't it?
I am surprised. That's,
They are
that's-
unfazed.
that-
They're like brand new, man.
20, what was it, 22 pounds?
Occasionally.
Occasionally, peak 22 pounds.
I mean, besides that broken bolt, it's pretty legit. Okay, so what we're gonna have to do, I got my engine hoist on the side of the house, so what we'll have to do is hopefully it fits in between this wall and the truck, but we'll bring it in, lift the engine up. We have to figure out somewhere to put it, maybe over there. And then we'll roll the truck out.
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll set this thing down and then put that dude in here. Drop that dude in and take a look at the clutch. I want to see that clutch because that thing was definitely going through hell with those long gears. It was like,
Yeah.
it was slipping real bad. I bet there's some wear on it. So I'm kind of interested to see that clutch actually. So we'll dig into that. We'll go grab that hoist on the side of the house and hopefully this thing will come out without any extra tranny work or anything. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I think that the truck just got like at least 6 inches taller. All right, so what are you thinking, Tanner?
Are there any locating dowels on the bell housing?
Yeah, there are.
So those might be what's kind of keeping us from sliding forward. Because only once you go up so far, if you're putting too much pressure on there, you'll never pull it apart.
That's true. Yeah, we're up pretty high. Should we lower it down a little bit? I got like 2 inches between the mount and this over here. That's probably too much. Might need to get under there and look at it. Hold the engine without pulling the transmission. The Magnum. Yeah, I don't like the level of rust that I'm seeing on that input shaft. I don't know if it got wet or what. Let's take a look. Definitely looks like there's some sort of rusty residue, you know? See what all that clutch slipping did to this beast. Moment of truth. there's material coming out of there. It got a little warm. You can see all that.
Got coolant coming out.
The pressure plate side still looks brand new almost. It was the ceramic side that was chewing.
It's falling apart.
Yeah, that's what the material was. So this is ceramic on the flywheel side and Kevlar on the pressure plate. Look at that pressure plate. God, that thing looks brand new. For having slipped it as much as it did.
It looks nice.
That pilot bearing does not.
No, it does not.
It looks like it got wet. It looks rusty. Again, I say the engine lives on. It's the only thing that's ever victorious in this. Everything else fails, but not the engine. The thing will still live on to shred some more parts.